The closed session under section 17 for HR matters. We came out at 6:23 by Councillor Gordon. We have no motions arising from closed session. Can I get a motion for 5.1? Sorry, before I get going, the town of Diamond Valley acknowledges traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, Member 6 Siccap, Kainai and Kainai First Nations, Stoney Nakoda, Bearspaw, Chiniki and Wesley First Nations, and the Dene of Tsuut'ina First Nations and Métis Region 3, and all those who make Treaty 7 lands their home. There's a powwow in Eden Valley on October 21st at the arena. I may or may not be barbecuing there, so you might want to show up and enjoy some First Nations festivities. As we roll through our meeting, I would ask that council stick to the agenda items as they're presented. We have had a bad track record of getting off topic and sidebar conversations. I want to start getting very efficient at our meetings. Please direct things through the chair and just the CAO, no managers, should be mentioned in any of our conversations, strictly to council. And what it is we want to do as a group is how our conversations should be led. That being said, we will move forward now. 5.1 minutes for regular council meeting held September 20th, 2023. Can I get a motion to adopt, please? Councillor Martin, there was one issue in there, item 4, but that was clarified. Is that correct? So we are good. Item 2. So we're good. Anyone opposed? All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.2 minutes of committee of the whole meeting held September 12th. Motion to adopt that, please.
I give that too.
Deputy Mayor Kelly. Any errors, omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Question period is a section of the council meeting, 15 minutes in length, which we give the public the chance to ask questions of administration or council for points of clarity. Any inquiry can be accepted, email, text, phone calls, however you want to do it. Ms. Middleton, has the town received any questions for that? Councilor Gordon?
Yeah, just a brief interrupt.
Yes, sir.
At 5:30, we amended the agenda. You may just want to let people know that we're not dealing with 9.3 tonight.
Thank you. Yes, we adopted the agenda, went into closed. We did amend and remove 9.3 bylaw 2023-28 transportation of dangerous goods was removed, and we'll come back at a future meeting. Thank you for that. Councilor Gordon, good catch. Ms. Middleton, any questions received from the public?
Mr. May, we've not received any questions.
All righty then. Moving on from question period, we go to statutory hearings, of which we have none, and delegations, of which we have none. Bylaws and policies, 9.1 land use amendment. Ms. Staples, I believe you're going to speak to this. Or Ms. Middleton, either one.
No, it's Carrie's. Carrie's here. Through the mayor, we have Carrie present via Teams. So if she would like to speak to this particular RFD, will allow her to speak to it.
Sorry, Carrie, I wasn't even looking at the screen to see if there was anyone up there. So welcome to the first council meeting for your attendance for Diamond Valley. Really appreciate you having you on the team, sorry, and look forward to working with you. So with that being said, the floor is yours. You keep speaking and I'll cut you off and give you a little heads up warning if I need to address any questions up here. So you're up. Floor is yours.
Fantastic. Through the chair, the two bylaws before you, in fact, 2023-29 and 2023-30. The reason that we are presenting two bylaws this evening is because the town of Diamond Valley's land use bylaws are still segregated to the east side and the west side, following the old town of Turner Valley's land use bylaw and the old town of Black Diamond's land use bylaw. The bylaws put before you are to amend those land use bylaws to add in some wording that would allow the municipality to exempt commissions and other such arrangements from having a development permit.
Excellent.
So-
So pretty straightforward. All right. Council, any questions on this one? Ms. Thompson, go ahead.
So this would, take in the, West End Regional Commission as well, right, for lands that are, for that. Which allows us to move forward with our lagoon project in the future without having to get a development permit.
Through the chair, that was what was instigating these amendments.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone have anything against? Mention, any questions, posing? I will take a motion, Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, we'll go with option one regarding Turner Valley's bylaw, that council give first reading to bylaw 2023-29 to amend the Turner Valley Land Use Bylaw 21-114 and direct administration to set a public hearing for a later date.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. I'll take it.
The council give reading to bylaw 2023-30 to amend the Black Diamond Land Use Bylaw 2021-06 and direct administration to set a public hearing for a later date. So yeah, purely housekeeping. Doesn't make sense if the town wants to do something that we have to apply to ourselves. So even though it's commission, it's basically, yeah, reduce red tape. Love it.
Reduce red tape. I love it too. All in favor? Thank you. That is carried. All right. Thank you, Carrie. I know that was a long taxing agenda item there for you. 9.2, bylaw 2023-21, property responsibility bylaw. Council, you've seen this. This is our fourth time having it come back. Few questions left, and I hope we get them answered tonight, and we are good to go. So with that being said, Mr. Matt, you can take center stage up here. And we would only ask that you present any red line items that we flagged the last time, nothing new. Unless council has found something new. There are a few grammaticals of spelling. We're not going to bring those up right now. We'll send an email with those. Otherwise, floor is yours.
All right, good evening, council. Through the chair, directing council's attention to page 16 of this bylaw. I won't go over the briefing note in whole. This is the fourth time we've had a discussion about this bylaw. Council would be aware of it. Regarding RVs, we've taken RVs, we've placed them back in this bylaw. We've done our research. Majority of municipalities are incorporating RVs into their land use bylaw or their zoning bylaw. We find best that keep it in our property responsibility bylaw, same as to what we did in Turner Valley. So what you're looking at here, there's just been some minor changes made to the bylaw to clean it up a bit more. Section 17.3 specifically, vehicles, trailers, or properties as it's identified in 17.1 may not be parked or stored in a way that obstructs sightlines. 17.4, talking about being stored on the property must be fully contained to the property, that no portion is permitted to enter onto a roadway or municipal property. 17.5 talks about how an enforcement officer may require a vehicle, trailer, or properties as defined in 17.1, parked or stored in a property subject to 17.1 to be removed from the lot or be located within the lot, if in the opinion of an enforcement officer. We're talking about the size of the vehicle, the trailer, the property, the location, and the impact of the number of the vehicles on the property. At the end, it has to create a material risk to the health and safety of any person. 17.6, if requested by an enforcement officer, the owner of a premise must relocate any vehicle, trailer, or property as defined. And 17.7 talks about how our bylaw does not supersede any other legislation. So if there is a requirement through MPC or anything like that, this doesn't trump that. That's what I have for this section. This has been the biggest part that was changed. If any questions, council.
Excellent, thank you. Councilor Martin.
So number 17.2,
Could I have you use your mic?
oh, I'm sorry,
Nope, that's all good.
apology.
That's all good.
Item number 17.2. Can and detached RV be parked on town streets or in alleys for loading for loading purposes?
If I may, through the chair.
Mhm.
17.2 is more referencing the act of loading on your property. So if you're gonna pull that trailer onto your property to do such activity, that it wouldn't create an offense. Under the Alberta Traffic Safety Act and our municipal traffic bylaws in each part of town, prohibits having an unattached trailer on a roadway. So it would not be permitted.
Okay, and then the second part of this, is there a time limit on RV trailer or vehicle can be parked on the street?
Currently, under both municipalities' traffic bylaws, there is a time frame. That will be addressed in the new traffic safety bylaw that will be coming to council shortly. That will be in that section there. It won't be in the property responsibility.
It won't be.
It will not be. It, as it stands right now, it's in a traffic bylaw in both communities, and that's where we're gonna keep it. It's
Would you
related.
reference that?
Nope, it doesn't reference it in here. It references in the traffic bylaw.
Okay, okay. And just the last question. So some of our residents, they have landscaped their yards with gravel. Would they be allowed to park an RV on there?
Through the chair, they would be permitted as long as it met the requirements as defined in section 17.1. So when we're talking about crushed gravel, cement, concrete pavement, yeah, as long as they're in the requirements of the land use bylaw as well.
Okay, so.
Your comments regarding this question would be greatly appreciated. Now, 17.5. Is there a way to include that bylaw could make a decision as if the vehicles are in disrepair, like trailers and considered unsightly? Like, I don't know, I don't see that anywhere. I see that the 17.5 does allow you to the size of vehicle, trailer, property, location of vehicles, but it doesn't say anything about unsightly. Like there's trailers out there that are garbage that should be up and down.
If I may, through the chair, section 3 of the bylaw, so that's gonna be on page 6. We're starting to talk about unsightly nuisance premises. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter what the object is.
Okay,
If it does create that, that's where that falls
Okay.
into place.
Yeah. thank you.
I believe it also talks about how many you have.
Very
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Councilor Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how. Yeah, where is it for how many? Cause I didn't see it. Or is that in the land use bylaw that you can have two?
If I may, through the chair, we're talking about how many RV or
Trailers.
following suit from Turner Valley's property responsibility bylaw, we did not regulate that in Turner Valley on how many RVs you were allowed to have parked on your property. So it's not just an RV, it's a trailer, it's an off-highway vehicle, so a four-wheeler or a dirt bike. So that was not regulated in Turner Valley, and that's the suit that we're following right now.
You sure? All right, I'm gonna look them, just to make sure.
This,
Not in the land use bylaw, you check there.
it may be governed under land use bylaw, but that's not legislation that we necessarily deal with. In this bylaw and in the previous Turner Valley property responsibility, to which is still in effect, it's not restricted. Just Black Diamond restricted, how many you're allowed to have, time of year, all the other requirements.
Okay. Jonathan.
So when we looked at this, there was quite a bit of feedback from the community, almost 70%. In a nutshell, if I were to kind of summarize it, you own the property, you're responsible for the property rights rule. You've done your best to kind of integrate that here with taking the concerns, if I'm reading that correctly. And I just want to commend you for that. It's good to listen to our community. Thank you.
Please.
And you've done just like Jonathan said, you've done a lot of work. You've had a lot of patience with me for answering my questions. Thank you so much. Hey, I'm never wrong. You guys all know. Anyhow, Matt, you do say vehicles. Is there a number? How many vehicles can a resident park on their property?
If I may through the chair, great question. You can park as many vehicles as you have approved parking pads to park such vehicles on your property.
But how about on your grass in your back alley
As long,
or in your backyard?
in your backyard. So if you have, as per section 17.1 of this bylaw, if you have an approved pad, we don't limit the amount of vehicles you can park.
But on
No.
grass?
You're not permitted to park on grass. So as stated in 17.1, you're required to have constructed either crushed gravel, cement, concrete, or other such materials as approved by the CAO or pursuant to a development permit issued by the town.
Okay. And then we'll have a couple more. I'll go last. I'll go bit last.
You
No.
go, because
No.
we've got an easy one.
Okay. So page 35 mentions statutory holidays. Numbers, construction noise, number 13.1 mentions statutory
Sorry.
holidays.
Can I get the section number again? please?
Yep, sure.
13.
Number 13. 13.0, construction noise. And it has, so for this is the weekend hours, between the hours of 10 PM and 9 AM on any Saturday, Sunday, or statutory holidays.
That is,
But you don't have statutory holidays defined in the definitions section.
if I may through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So if I may, so statutory holiday, if it's not covered in the bylaw, the Interpretation Act takes precedence, so that's where it would be defined. We could add what a statutory holiday is, but the Interpretation Act would allow that in a court of law to take precedence over it. So it's not, we put it in bylaws sometimes to make it easier, but majority of common people know what a statutory holiday would be. And then if it was a charge that went to court, it would be addressed there very quickly.
Okay, and my last question, Matt, and then. Come on, you guys. Okay, last question. Page 34. General noise, 12.0. Items 12.7 to 12.9 lists the weekday nighttime hours, but not the weekend nighttime hours. Can we have that added in? No, the weekend nighttime hours are 10 PM to 9 AM. Why I'm saying that is because you could have a snow blower going on a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock after a big dump. And there's a lot of older gents love to get their snow blowers out at 7 AM on a Saturday morning.
If I may through the chair, so 12.6, I think would take, just quickly firing back on this one. 12.6, I think would take consideration of that, so it's a relevant factor, it's a snowstorm, so we're gonna show consideration on why people are plowing their property and stuff like that, so I think that's what would govern that. I think we do blanket at 10 PM to 7 AM as our quiet hours for town.
But that is just, that's like your weekday hours, right?
If I may through the chair, so 12.9, just defining in a residential area between the hours of 10 PM and 7 AM. That's really saying that you shouldn't operate that equipment. I don't think that time would change on a
weekend?
weekend necessarily.
That would be
7 AM
for-
is-
For a lawnmower?
At 7 AM mowing your lawn, at 6:59, at 6:30,
On a weekend.
yeah.
No, that is a tough one, isn't it?
Does council have a problem with 7 AM Saturday mornings? Mowing your lawn?
Or 9.
Gonna have to take care of that. I mean, if I had a problem with it, I'd call Matt, and then Matt would have to address it.
So
Sorry, is that unfair to say?
basically, it comes down to
It's a noise complaint.
if we wanted to move something, now would be the time to move that. Councillor Martin has indicated 9 AM is in other referenced areas for noise
For weekend.
for the weekends. So personally, I have 2 neighbors who love their grass more than they love their family. I think sometimes the way they caress their grass, it's pretty impressive. I don't care. They make the neighborhood look good. I could care less. But council, 9 or 7, is there a willingness to change it to 9? Go ahead, Councillor Gordon.
I think, I don't want to speak for Councillor Martin, but I think I understand where she's coming from.
Mhm.
If construction noise has that limit, would we not just make it consistent with noise, not just necessarily construction noise? For instance, if I'm doing my own build, does that qualify as construction noise as if I contracted out to somebody else? I think we're opening a bit of a gray area there, which might be hard to, Matt's nodding his head, which would be hard to enforce. Whereas if my neighbor had a contract coming in, somebody says, hey, the contractors were here at 9, but Buddy up the street starts at 7 doing the same project. You know, the bylaw wouldn't cover that. So I think here again, we want to have a bylaw that our enforcement officers can actually enforce on a consistent basis. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Mr. Matt.
Thank you through the chair. If I may say, the current setup for timing is what is in fact currently in Turner Valley under the property responsibility bylaw. I can also state, we've been amalgamated almost a year now. A very minimal amount of noise complaints our office does receive.
Yeah.
Generally, our noise complaints are loud music, barking dogs, loud vehicles, that kind of stuff. So construction, yes, we're gonna start booming pretty soon, but I'm not anticipating much coming from it. My experience, most builders are very respectful to the neighborhood and to their company image, and they don't want to cause drama between neighbors.
Yes, thank you. And as a construction guy, I know that we very diligently wait for that 7 o'clock before we start any power tools, because we've been on the receiving end of you guys in the past. So it only takes once and then you don't start anything. So I think what you're saying is you have the teeth to operate. You have a history that declares if we have a problem, it'll be dealt with. And I think we're good. So Hazel, is that good for you?
Good.
All right, I'm gonna take that motion there. Oh, Skipper Billy Bob here has one.
Just one, just because of where I live and what we've been going through the last couple of years.
Yes, please.
Just for clarity purposes for myself and for my neighbors and for the neighborhood, because I'm in Riverwood. We had a lot of different bylaws. Well, I shouldn't even say they were bylaws. Was it a bylaw that we weren't allowed to park in Riverwood and Willowbridge before it changed? That was just accepted as. I can carry on.
Architectural design.
Yeah, okay, so for those of us that don't have to deal with architectural design, is it fair to say that starting whenever this is moved, that people are allowed to park their RVs back in their driveways?
If I may through the chair.
Yes, sir.
This bylaw, as mentioned before, we do not trump anything MPC has decided or any development control put in place.
Okay.
So in Riverwood, when you purchase the property, if there are conditions associated to it, this does not trump that. They stay in place.
Okay.
This would cover everywhere else.
Okay.
So in certain areas where you can't park your RV yesterday, you can't park it after this passes.
Okay, awesome, thank you, Officer Walter. Appreciate all the hard work as well.
Thank you. I'll take that motion.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, sure.
The council give bylaw 2023-021 property responsibility bylaw first reading. Second. Okay, okay.
It says here first reading.
Says first.
4th of October, so this is first because we kept amending.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anything further? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Can I get a second, please? Thank you. She just gave it. I'm just gonna ask. Anybody got any comments? October 4th, 2023, second reading, same one. All in favor? I will give a motion to hear third and final reading. All in favor? That is unanimous. And now I'll take a final reading from Hazel.
I will give, the council give bylaw 23-021 third reading.
That's 023. No, it's mine.
023-021 third reading.
Yeah, just call it.
Excellent, okay. That's okay.
Actually, that does need to be amended
You sure it's not
because
2023-23?
that's the heading in the motion is separate than the heading actually on the bylaws. So maybe ask me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to make.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you check your paperwork. I have bylaw 2023-23.
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay, sorry, it just says in the options 21.
It does.
Okay.
My apologies. I missed that.
nope, that's okay.
Sure.
I finally came it valuable.
It's coming back when we were done.
Technically, we actually have to go through
I
the
didn't
first
say
reading
it.
again, don't we?
What did you say?
I didn't say it.
Did you say 21?
So
Verna, clarity on how we're going to come back to Brendan's number dyslexia.
I misspoke. Is that fair to say?
We did question it.
Yeah,
We did.
well, we just have to backtrack and make sure that we rescind it properly. Because we're not at the final here, so we can just go back and then come back through it. Well, we can just give first reading to the proper numbered
That's what
bylaw.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
The other one fails because it never got third and final, and it doesn't exist after tonight. There you go. Easy peasy.
So we'll just go through them again.
No, because that will be a different bylaw
Yeah, and it doesn't exist if we don't enact it.
if it isn't already passed.
That's right.
So
Sure.
I would actually ask that we rescind the first three motions.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Sorry.
Solid.
Okay.
So we're gonna rescind the previous three motions, if that's how you want to word it.
I'll put the actual numbers into the
you.
motion when I get the numbers
Okay,
calculated.
so it's good. Okay, we're gonna vote on that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Sorry. whose
Excellent, that's
motion
Carrie.
was that?
Jonathan Gordon.
Thank you.
I'll give you the first one.
Now give us the proper number, please.
Okay. The council give bylaw 2023-023, property responsibility bylaw first reading.
I don't have a zero in front of me.
You can leave the zero out, please.
Thank you.
2023-23.
Thank you. Now I'm happy and I will move that motion to the floor for discussion.
No.
All in favor? Cindy. That's carried. Thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. I will give a motion to hear third reading of bylaw 2023-23, the property responsibility bylaw. All in favor? That's unanimous. And Miss Martin.
Council give bylaw 2023-23 third reading.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. See, it's doing good. Catching all kinds of mistakes on the fly. Amazing. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Councillor Gordon clarified early in the meeting, we removed 9.3, which was the bylaw 2023-28, the transportation of dangerous goods bylaw, was removed from the agenda as we are awaiting some provincial clarifications. That will come back to a future meeting. Action items, request for utility account adjustment 10.1. Council, you have a letter, but we will ask CAO Middleton to speak to it. And then we will move from there. CAO Middleton.
Thank you, Mayor Crane, for the chair. So as council
knows, administration is unable to waive any of these utility bills. So we bring this forward to council for a request of $178.12 of sewage consumption charge that Mr. Liboran wishes to have waived on his utility bill.
It is straightforward, council. You have a letter in your agenda package. You've read the material that was provided. I will go to Councillor Martin for her first comment. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Councillor Holiday.
Yeah, so this is just to get the sewer, so it's really just a claim that it didn't actually go into the sewer is what he's saying. He's not asking for the water because he actually did use the water. This is just the sewer. Clearly out of the ordinary, if you look at their last, all of their previous year's bills. So obviously something went on. So I don't mind giving the sewer. Like, yes, you can get the he said, she said on whether it did or didn't, but we have to, I think we could take them at their word and for 178, they got a very big bill and that was a tough pill to swallow from what they'd paid previously, so I think we should, I would be in support.
Okay, thank you. Up for council discussion, we have 1 for, 1 against. I will mention that you all have an email as well from a resident who has the same type of ask for upwards of $3,000. Don't have that. I will send it to you. This came to council back in December, maybe. But that's a separate agenda item that we aren't going to address. Right now on the docket is 178. We have 1 councillor for and 1 against. Further discussion, or we will move on and accept for information. Well, that is up to you guys. Someone has to put a motion to the floor and then we will enact something. Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, I really understand where this family is coming from and the challenge they're in. One of the issues that we constantly hear about our utility rates is that our sewer consumption is comparative and in relation to the water consumption. We have meters in, but we don't have meters out. And it's really challenging to face this. I think if we move forward with this, we could open up a can of worms every summer where residents do an excessive amount of watering or fill their pool or whatever it may be and want to come back and ask for a sewer consumption rebate. And I'm not sure that council, I personally am not in support of it because that opens a can of worms that I think we could handle in a better way, potentially.
Thank you. Cindy.
I'm just gonna put the motion on the floor that council agree to adjust Mr. Liborian's utility account by the $178.12 sewage consumption charge as requested. Like I said, I'm in favor.
Thank you. Council, there is a motion to the floor. Debate. Anything to add? Hazel, Heather, Veronica, Brendan, Cindy, Jonathan, all in favor? All opposed? And that is denied. Thank you. Please send a nice letter to Mr. Gillis and inform him that council regretfully denies. And that is all. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you, council. 10.2, appointment of external auditors. This is a straightforward one. Would administration like to speak to it, or are we clear?
If I may, through the chair, administration is fully supportive of this RFD, so we have no further commentary.
Excellent. It's a straightforward. Cindy, go ahead.
have a quick question. What were we paying before? I knew you knew that this was coming from me.
Through the chair, Councillor Holiday, I absolutely knew, and I had made the calculation, for, the town of Black Diamond, they paid 25,500. We paid 27,800. So we'll see a slight decrease overall of about $4,000 for the, combined billing.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Martin.
Answer my question.
Excellent. Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Can I give you,
Indeed you can.
okay, that council agreed to award the external audit services for the 3-year period plus 1 optional year beginning the audit year 2023 to MNP LLP. And thank you to administration for their work on this.
Thank you very much. Any further questions, clarity? Straightforward, this one. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
Does this include the truck stuff again? Or do you know?
If I may through the chair.
Some part of it, though.
So in the past, MNP has included that under the scope of the audit.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Should we get two?
Rob included.
If I may through the chair, so previously Black Diamond had 2 sets of statements. They would have a statement that was not consolidated. We will just have a consolidated statement, which includes Schruck in that. So that's how our audit has been conducted in the past. So I would expect that that will be maintained.
Thank you.
Just one quick question.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Would West End be also using MNT? Or they get their own, get their separate? Okay. Thank you.
Just to clarify that question, West End is indeed separate and have their own audit commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Request for municipal communications workshop and engagement consultation is brought forward by Councillors Martin and Thompson. I think it's a great piece of information to hear and have a little conversation around. So I'll go over to Councillor Thompson first, and then Hazel, you can back her up. And Council, this is strictly for us to have some debate and conversation around and set some direction.
Hazel and I attended our women elected official women's networking group. And the guest speaker was Benjamin. Yeah, Benjamin Prox from Catalyst Communications, right? And he was well spoken and a great communicator, and that's what he does for a living. Anyway, he was talking about he did the town hall for the utilities for Peace River, and Peace River has gone to full cost recovery. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me is we need to allow the people to have a voice in this. We're going to have probably a lot of angry people when this comes out, but if we're able to explain it and communicate it properly, we should be able to and give the right information so there's no misinformation out there. I think it's really, really important. Once you explain to people why, then quite often that resolves a lot of anger issues. So he would do the workshop would include the developing of the materials for the proactive public notice and the proposed changes. He would include a process by which the residents can voice their concerns, and then would facilitate a town hall, including a panel of council members and admin. So what Hazel and I would like to suggest is that this be included in the
E23 budget.
yeah. And that it be part of the communication plan so that Monique and her group can work with Ben to get this town hall and communications moving forward. I think it also will relieve some pressure from the communications team and also allow the public to voice their concerns and get it off their chests and be able to move forward with full cost recovery by providing the correct information.
That there isn't any misinformation out there. And I am doing an elected officials program course, and it is on community engagement. And Benjamin is our facilitator, and he did bring up about doing a session with the community on utility review. And the one thing he did stress is get the information out so people know. Like, why are our fees increasing? We tell them it's because of the leaky pipes that we have, the sewer upgrade that we're doing. To get this information out so that people are understanding why we're doing it. It's not just because we want to do it, it's because we have to do it.
To add to that point also, being able to explain that we are subsidizing the utility rates now by taxes. And to be able to explain that to people, so $600,000 of utilities is being subsidized by your taxes. So getting that out there and explaining that is really, really important because people just do not understand that all my utilities are way up here already, but in the reality, they're being subsidized by your taxes. And so that should, if we go to full cost recovery on our utilities, that should level out on the tax side or even lessen the tax burden to a certain degree. So I think it's really important messaging to get out there.
Councillor Holiday.
I have a couple of concerns. One, procurement policy, if it's over 5,000, we would have to go out. We can't just hire somebody. Second, I do worry because as we were talking about the berm later on, is that you spend the money and you have one person show up to that public engagement. That's a problem. And then I'd like to actually wait to make the decision until we actually see the numbers, because there was a lot of questions left at our last utility rate discussion as to how much is coming off tax bills, what's going utilities. Is this going to be as the sky is falling moment as you're thinking? It might not be. So I don't want to really make a decision on this right now. I think it's great that you found somebody you're learning from them. I want to see it again because our job, town's paying us to communicate with them as counselors. That's our job. So if we don't understand it, that means that he's not going to understand it either, and it's just not any use. Like, we know you need to know it because we're frontline. That's our job. Talk to residents. So that's where I'm at. So I would just like to hold.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gordon or Kelly?
Oh, I think Councillor Holiday's probably right. I'm just waiting until we have the final numbers. I'm in support for sure of having somebody at some time come and do this. I really like this idea. But I think until we have those final numbers, we could move this to a later agenda, but I definitely like it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Schreiber.
Do we make a motion to include it with the numbers?
No, just do you like the idea or don't you?
Well, I have a degree in communications. It's a brilliant idea.
Perfect. That's what we want to hear. I too think this is a great idea. I will echo Councillor Holiday's thoughts on let's get the numbers, let's have a look. And then once we know what we're presenting, then I think we follow up on a communications plan and this is a great way forward. You're not a counselor, you're CAO of Middleton.
I am. Thank you for that. If I may, through the chair, talk to this on behalf of administration.
Yes, please.
So I guess my only concern with having an outside organization come in to do our communications on this is it, because we're concerned with the messaging coming from two different sources, and isn't administration in a position to appropriately talk to this matter from a communications perspective? We understand the residents, we understand the issues to the residents, and we understand the town. So I do have some concerns over that particular issue and having to bring a third party in. I think the messaging can be equally as effective and it's going to be very similar to regardless of whether you have someone come in from the outside or whether it's internally done by our communications team here, which I believe is completely capable of doing it.
Okay, thank you for that. Councilor Martin.
I don't think we ever thought that our communications team didn't do it. We were just thinking of workload on the communications folks at this time. And he would be willing to facilitate this. So, yeah, the town hall, which is, I think, would be something that would be of value to our residents for them to be able to come out and have their say.
Thank you. Thank you for all comments. Sounds to me like this is something that we'll readdress once we have the numbers. And then we can look at a motion at that time and make a decision on how we want that communication to move forward.
There's also a second part to this and
Please.
and I thought that maybe this could be included in our organizational meeting, and that is the workshop that be included in our organizational meeting, a council communications and workshop, which Ben would facilitate, which would also cover overview of the MGA, municipal government communications, so social media use, media relations, and crisis communications. I thought this might be a great tool for us and go into our council procedure bylaw, et cetera. So anyway, there's another part of this that maybe we could consider for the future for our org meeting.
Which is coming up the 20th. 18th. So we'll be doing that on the 18th. So that is a great time to have that conversation.
Pardon me?
We'll be having our org meeting on the 18th of October.
Right.
So.
So it's too quick to
Little too-
organize.
But
Maybe we could have that.
I think that we do, in general, we haven't had one in quite a while, a good group session. Other than IUMA was a great session, but a good educational portion on something specific. So let's keep that one in the burner and we'll definitely follow up. Councilor Holiday.
Yeah, I think this is something that should come out of our training budget. If everyone's willing to do it, pool their money together, see if who has what left. And we'll get those numbers at budget meeting and we can decide for the new year if who's doing what. But I think that's where, I don't think it should be new money. I think it should be coming out of our training.
Great call. All right. Are we good to move on?
Do you want a motion to accept this information or anything?
We
or-
don't need to make a motion to accept anything
Okay.
for information. It was just a straight up discussion.
Okay.
We learned that one at our new class we attended on effective meetings. Sometimes you don't need to make motions just
Okay.
because, yeah, so we can just move on.
I like it.
But
We
then,
can bring this back in 6 months.
oh, before then,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
we're gonna have utility numbers before
To
then.
bring it back to the table.
Sure,
Yeah,
let's do that.
Going to give you that.
Sure, let's do that. Go ahead.
When would you like it brought back? For the org meeting?
After utilities are. Well,
After the budget? Couple.
go ahead, yeah.
So I hate to interrupt through the chair, but I did want to advise as well as our communications team has already started to work on what the communication might look like for the utility rate review. So if I would like them to continue down that road if possible.
Yeah, I think there's, if I could, Veronica, I think there's some misunderstanding, Ms. Middleton. The session that they attended where a public open house was held, the facilitator delivered material. Any negative comments were directed towards him. That individual then gets to go home. He's not part and parcel and a face of the community day in and day out. So by bringing a facilitator it takes the target off of individuals within administration and places it on someone who's a little more objective. That's how this is being viewed through the lens of council. It's a vessel to skirt some of the negativity that we are no doubt to see through the increases that we're going to look at when it comes to utility rate increases. So this is a way to clearly, here's the problem, here's the issue, here's the solution. You might not like it. However, these are the facts. And for some people on administration that might be the face of that, that could be very daunting. To have several people show up at a public open house and you are now the target. So the idea here is that having someone outside enterprise come in and deliver this information, it's a little less personal. It's a little more objective, and the public then can view it through an objective lens and not through a conspiracy theory led lens or anything of that nature, because I can guarantee you the fact that Municipal World here has on the front cover 15-minute cities concept gaining traction despite conspiracy theories. That's the front page of Municipal World, which is right across the country, not North America. It's those types of things that'll happen that we're trying to address through our communications. And this in particular is not going to be a very popular venture. So we're trying to be proactive, and that's where the ladies are leading, and I really appreciate it. So Councillor Thompson, if you want to do something, you got a motion coming.
Not to take away from the work that administration has done. They would use the communications that for the town hall. They would work with administration on whatever is being put together. It just would be part and parcel of the communications that will be going forward to the public. But we would count highly on our admin team to put that together for the town hall. So, yeah, not to take away at all from our team.
Thank you for clarifying that. Councillor Veronica.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I would like my motion to have absolutely nothing to do with utility rate review, public engagement. I am strictly concentrating on the council communication workshop, which is what I thought I was referring to when I said this is a brilliant idea. So I would like my motion to say something like administration can please firm up details about the council communication workshop and bring that prior to budget discussion.
Okay, so some dates for training is what you'll be looking for.
Yeah, dates, GST amounts, stuff like that. Even though we don't pay GST, I still want to know.
Okay, motion on the floor for training to be brought back for further discussion. All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Give us a motion for the
When do you want it? Like, whenever the utility.
Well, the communication plan is supposed to come back to us on October the 18th. So maybe,
Meeting after that.
yeah, like, just so that it can be,
Talk
the
about it.
town hall itself, I think is very, very important. So we need to get the numbers. I totally agree.
Yeah.
We need those numbers and we need to see what our communications team, our team is putting together.
Okay.
But I think this town hall is going to be an important part of this utility discussions, and allowing the town to have a voice
Okay.
is going to be very important. And we all know the voices are going to be angry. And something like this, I think, will garner more than one person attending. So, I think it's important. So, thank you.
Hey, Kim, do you want me to? Council Direct Administration to bring the public engagement piece back at the first meeting in November
For the utility rate town hall.
for the utility rate town hall. In the first meeting in November.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
That's good.
Vern, is that okay?
Quick and easy. I like it. They will bring it back. This is just to bring back our discussion on how we're going to relay the communication.
Next.
The
Next
18th.
meeting, so we'll do that, and then we can bring this part back.
Yeah.
For the first meeting in November to talk about how we're gonna address it.
Everybody clear?
Yeah.
All in favor? Excellent. Deputy Mayor, next time, slap that mic on and then you could have said that, what you said to Cindy, and everyone would have heard it. It would have been perfect. Okay, excellent. No, it's good. Okay, that one's done. Just having a quick gander here. 12.1 declassification of brownfield lands west side of Diamond Valley. Sorry, some zap a muscle spasm there. Councillor Martin, this is an administrative requiree with response. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I suspect we are talking about the Conoco lands,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that they have actually been designated as brownfields.
Even down on,
Microphone, please.
Kennedy.
Microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Even on Kennedy Drive.
No, I don't think we have any designated brownfields. That would be an assessment process, I believe.
Yeah, the only way is through doing our remediation. And Carrie, pardon me, has done a lot of work on it. And even going back to our MGA, we have to be able to work with the corporation to be able to get some redevelopment. To do some redevelopment on those lands.
So, if I could be blunt, what exactly is your ask? That we engage ConocoPhillips and try and get them moving on this?
Yes, please, Barry.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Originally my ask before I started doing more of a deep dive into it was just to see if there was any way that, and this is not going to be nice, is to see if we could increase their tax base.
Mhm.
So that we can receive more taxes from them.
Absolutely.
And as I found out, that is not the case. We can change their taxes, their tax to be able to for them to be able to do some remediation and do some work on there to make the land that it is going to be developable.
All right. We've been down this hole before and I still totally agree with everything you're saying. So, I think once we have a new CAO in place, we can start moving in that direction. And there's consultations, there's getting Conoco to the table. So many elements. It's staggering, but I totally agree with everything you're saying. We've been trying for years.
And Carrie's done a wonderful job on preparing her report. And there's a lot of information in here. And I guess it's just going back to what you're saying, is asking for ConocoPhillips to meet with us and to see where they're at, and maybe we can make some sort of arrangement.
Yes. Councillor Holiday.
I'm a little pessimistic on the millions of dollars that's needed for remediation. And there's no incentive for them. They're paying minimal taxes.
Yeah.
So I don't think you'll ever make it up, but it would be nice. We're not there. This is something that needs to be, I think dealing with current developments is going to be more important. So I would just say leave alone. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where billion-dollar companies actually cleaned up their land? Oh, wouldn't it just be nice? We gotta cut our weeds and mow our lawn, but darn, those $1 million companies don't get to. That's okay. Councillor Thompson, then we'll wrap this up, but I think we can start moving forward. Councillor Martin, through planning, start finding out what pegs need to be pulled.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor
I'm
Thompson.
just gonna reiterate, great report, Carrie. It's great to see somebody that's got all this knowledge and put it together for the brownfields.
Yeah.
Also, like subclassing the land could be another option, so that we're making more money on tax and revenue on that land. The Turner Valley Gas Plant is owned by the province. There isn't a thing we can do about that one. But Conoco Lands is something that in the future we certainly should be looking at how we can tax them a higher rate and use that brownfield to better the lands, better the community. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Florzone, for that fantastic report. Really appreciate the time you put into it. I'm gonna go to Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, just picking up on something Councillor Martin has found out with, and Councillor Thompson has mentioned here, the lands in question have not technically been identified as brownfield. So if I may, through the chair, direct a question to Ms. Florzone, how do we go about getting that land designated accordingly? It's not just through assessment, correct? It could be a specific designation. So I wonder if Carrie would know that.
That's a good question. Carrie, I'm gonna give you the floor if you can.
Through the chair. It is a great question. I would have to do a little bit more digging and get back to you on that. I've dealt with smaller parcels in the past, like gas stations in other municipalities where I've worked, but the scale and having it potentially not be designated as a brownfield site, I'd have to go away and do a little bit more digging to get a more concise answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Would she need a motion to follow through on it?
Because Heather and Jonathan are both saying that it isn't brownfield.
One
Then
second,
what is-
Hazel. Go ahead, Hazel. 1 second, guys. Hazel, you have the floor.
Excuse me, Councillor Gordon and Councillor Thompson are both saying it isn't brownfield lands. Potentially. So if it isn't brownfield lands, can you find out what it is? And is there any way of making, declassifying that land?
Okay, Hazel. Or Heather, sorry, and then Cindy.
I believe it's tax land.
It is.
And it's one of the lowest tax rates you can get. So we've had this discussion for probably 10 years. How can we change that? So we're making more money with on those Conoco lands. So I'd appreciate that if Carrie could just double check into that and find out what we can do to change the subclass of that land for taxation purposes, be it brownfield or be it something else, but I know it can be done.
Okay, make that a motion and let's vote.
That council direct administration to investigate
Declassification.
the current Conoco lands and how to redesignate those lands to provide for a higher tax rate, be it brownfield or different subclass.
Perfect. Thank you. Comments, Cindy, then Jonathan.
Isn't this just you change them to commercial, you tax them at the commercial rate or like is
No,
that?
it's a different subclass. It's like
That's what the motion is for, so that we can have that brought back by Carrie.
did a whole big report on it like 10 years ago.
Right, but then they can just appeal.
Councillor Gordon?
Yeah, the reason I'm gonna vote in support of that motion that Councillor Thompson just made is not so much to see our tax coffers balloon potentially, but more importantly, we have need of land inside our town that is easily developed. And I think that would hopefully give us an opportunity. If it's not brownfield, if it's not in need of remediation, well, hey, can we get on it? So I think it opens up opportunities for us. So I support that motion.
Absolutely. Any further comment? All in favor? There, thank you, that's carried. We have a letter, Sheep Creek Arts Council from Miss Ava Kinzel. Blood protection, oh, sorry, guys, blood protection, can I get a motion?
Oh, I have a question.
Yep, I'm just going, go ahead.
All I want to know is when can we expect this?
Sorry, Councillor Floyer has the floor first.
Sorry.
I just want to know the result. That's all.
It's in,
It is not.
No, finally, the most I get in this.
Right.
yeah, so in
So I would like to know how many people attended and what choices they made in the questions.
That will come at a further date as the final report has not yet been received from Urban Systems.
When will that be received?
When will that be received?
So if I may, through the chair, Councillor Kloiber, we've been talking with Urban, with their desire to have a meeting with council where they'll bring forward the recommendations. Some of that discussion is around the format of how that discussion is going to take place because of such a poor turnout with respect to the open house. They wanted the opportunity to do a survey where we are in discussions to determine what that might look like. So at this particular juncture, they are working on the final report.
Thank you. Councillor Kloiber, follow up, and then Councillor Martin.
Can you just proceed with the survey without bringing it to council in between? Good, perfect, thank you.
So Councillor Martin.
Veronica asked my question and CEO has been answered this.
Perfect. Can I get a motion? Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, I'll give you a motion to accept this information. Just a second, though. For the community's sake, the funding for this survey and the public engagement was grant funding. It was not municipal tax from any of our taxation. So just to make that point clear. And it was,
Climate Resilience Capacity Building Program.
there you go. Thanks, Hazel. And so just to alleviate any concerns, that's where that money was provided from that fund. I'll give the motion to accept this information.
Thank you. Councillor Holiday.
Yeah, so we attended a training the other day. It was quite interesting that you don't need to actually throw out motions for accepting his information. And you
Okay.
don't want to do that because you're accepting it, but in some ways you might not actually agree with anything that's written in it.
No.
So you don't have to
Just
accept
move
it,
right on.
you just move right on.
Okay,
So,
I will
yeah.
take that motion and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah,
Yep.
just if you imagine if somebody came and presented a report that was really inflammatory, you wouldn't want to accept it as information. You just don't want to touch it, right? So just, it's a bad habit. So basically,
Yeah,
like that.
with dirty face and.
You
Yeah, no,
just
I
say,
don't-
it'll show up in the minutes as an item.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whereas, like Cindy said, if we accept it, then there might be something negative in that report, whether it's a 90% great report, 10% might be very inflammatory. And then it looks as if a council of the day has accepted that as fact and good. So we simply move on through the agenda by say, any concerns? Nothing? Seeing none? Moving on, 14.2, right? So with that being said, 14.1 and 14.2. We have correspondence. Again, you don't need to accept it. You can just leave it as is. So what was suggested in the course that we did is now when we get to correspondence, I would say, council, are there any concerns with the correspondence? If so, point it out and read out your concerns or your acknowledgement. Councillor Holiday.
I do have one question on the berm flood protection project.
Sure, go ahead.
Turner Valley is sitting in our deferred revenue. $2.56 million of erosion protection money. Would that apply to these berms? And is it a coincidence that their numbers line up to 2.56 million? Or is this reminiscent of the AB Munis notion that we shouldn't have to post our budgeted information on capital projects? Because to me, the fact that the two numbers lined up really kind of, yeah, made me wonder.
And just for the sake of clarity and just a piggyback, the government, federal government's given $40,000 zero interest loans for solar panel installations. Guess how much every quote comes in at?
$40,000?
$39.99.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, I got a good deal. I got $39,850. So, you know, like it's so true.
All right, but
Something we
if
should
you
look
had
at.
a legitimate ask, does that money apply, would that money apply, be usable? I tried to Google it and to read up about those grant programs and it sounded like it did. So it's probably not a coincidence. Okay.
If I may, through the chair, I
You
can
may.
comment to Councillor Holiday. You are absolutely correct. Rec money would apply to these firm projects.
There you go. Okay, any other correspondence questions? Thank you to the letter from Ava and the Sheep Creek Arts Council.
Yeah.
Fantastic to support our arts community. Seeing none further, we are adjourned. Thank you.